everyone, Daniel Kerr here. So what we have here is Ableton Live 12, and I'm using the Lite version because I want people to be able to see what's going on no matter what version you have, but this will apply all across the board. So let's look at some of the stuff we got going on around here. Probably when you first open Live, if you have a sound card like an I/O, I have a Steinberg UR22. That's an audio interface. Basically, you probably want to set things up. So let's go to options and preferences, okay? Now, options, the preference window can be opened by control or command on a Mac. I'm going to say control. Anytime I say control something, it means command something if you're using an Apple Mac. So control, comma, will open up the window. Let me show you control, comma, okay? So it opens up the window. The preferences window. So in audio, I use an ASIO driver, which is faster and more efficient for audio, less latency, less clicking and popping, etc., etc. If you don't have one that came with your sound card, you can go get ASIO for all or ASIO for all, or you can just use your direct MME DirectX if you're just using your computer speakers. I am using my Yamaha Steinberg, so that's what's all set up, right? Now, as far as MIDI controllers go, if you go to link tempo and MIDI, your controller will probably be in the list here, right? And so what you do is you just kind of set the things that you want. I have, for my audio interface, I have tracking set up, I have remote set up. I don't have sync set up because I don't have any incoming audio MIDI signals coming in that I want to slave live to. But then in the output ports here, I do have sync on because I want to be able to sync Ableton to my hardware. All that might be above your head, it doesn't matter. Here on the main screen here, I'll get rid of all these channels, which you just select things and hit delete, and it deletes things, right? So we have two types of channel. We have a MIDI channel, which is basically note information for your online or excuse me, your in the box plug-in instruments, right? For Apple, that's going to be AUs. For Windows users, it's going to be plugins or VSTs. It also applies to all of Ableton's stock instruments, which if I go over here in the browser, I can see that I have 5 stock Ableton instruments. If you're using a full version of Live or a suite version, you're going to have more instruments, right? All of my plugins are here, okay? Now, plugins kind of, if I open the preferences window again, which is control, comma, you can go over here to plugins and you can set the folders that you want all your plugins in, or you can leave it as the default, right? So when you download third-party plugins, they will go in there, okay? Good time to talk about the browser over here. We have instruments, which is very important. We have audio effects, which is all of Ableton Live's effects. Again, if you have a better version or a more advanced version that I'm showing here, you will have more devices. You have MIDI effects, which are things that they're basically effects that you add when you are trying to manipulate note information, and I'll show you how those things work, okay? Those are the big three, and then the plugins, okay? Now, also you have sounds. These are stock sounds that come with Ableton, okay? You have drums, which are drum kits that come with Ableton. You have clips. A lot of these clips, to tell you the truth, I don't really use a lot of these things. Here's a sample window. For the purposes of this tutorial, just to get you started, we're going to be focusing on instruments, effects, MIDI effects, and plugins, okay? Now, down here we have places, and you can see that I've got a few locations there, including my desktop, my music folder, audio samples, which is a folder I have in that I created in my documents. And over here you can hit add folder, and the dialog will come up, and you can add any folder in your computer so that it becomes accessible. For me, if I click on audio samples, it has all of my samples. Now, if you see I have a drop-down menu open, if any of these navigation spots over here on the left in the browser, if you double click them, it closes all the windows, right? So that's good. Now right here, MIDI and audio, okay? The first thing, let's show you what MIDI does. MIDI is note information, okay? So actually, let's go audio first so I can show you. In here I have some drums. Let me find, I have Drum Loops 2019. I created all of these. I'll drag this over to audio, and you can see if I double click on this clip, there is the loop. And if I fire it off, okay, let's grab a better one. So here we have a full-on drum loop. Listen. Okay. Now, once I have this over here, there, as you can see the waveform, and that's because this is a solid audio sample, which is basically a recording of audio. And so you can manipulate it as such, but it's not note information. In the MIDI channel next to it, if I drop an instrument down, drift, you can see that an instrument comes up. And because I have it armed for record, it arms for record automatically when you add a new instrument. Okay, see this red record button? I can touch my computer keyboard. For instance, I'll hit the key of, I'll hit the A key, and that's a C note. And that works because over here, this piano icon is activated, right? Now I have C, which starting with A, it goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, okay? A full octave. And that's on my computer keyboard, and I can go up and down octaves by using the Z and the X button. Up. Now, in this clip view here, we have two views. We have our waves here, or our clips, our MIDI clips, or down here at the bottom right, you have two menus. We have the Ableton Live devices or plugins, and we have the wave or the note information. Okay, so in the MIDI channel, for instance, if I double click here, it will create a clip, okay? And this clip, if you look down here, it's opened up a bit of a piano roll, okay? And if I click this headphone icon, I can audition these notes. And if I double click on something, let's say if I want to do something in the key of E, right? I can put a little note here by double clicking there. And if I fire this off, you can hear that it's creating note information. Now, is this a sound? Is it a sample? No, this is just a note information on a piano roll that is telling me, telling my device, right, which is down here, to play, okay? And I can change this, see? Okay, so going back to here, now you can toggle between these screens, by the way. You can toggle by using Shift and Tab, okay? So over here, let's add some more notes. E. All right, so we've got some note information. Shift Tab again. And I find myself in the device, okay? Now this here is called Hot Swap, and what that does, when I'm activating this, I can go through any of the presets that are in the Drift device, and I can switch them out in real time by double clicking on them. See? Back to normal. Or I can switch it out for another instrument completely. That's a drum machine, so I haven't loaded anything in there yet. Let's, in the instrument rack, let's, okay, so that's how that works. Now, let's stop this clip so we can just hear the keys, okay? We have this, this device playing. We have these notes playing. What I want to do is add some effects. So I'll go to Audio Effects and we'll add A delay is a good effect because it is an echo. So if I drag that over to the channel, it immediately populates it after the instrument, okay? In fact, I'll turn the dry wet signal all the way down. As I pull it up, you can see how that works. Okay, let's say in this drum channel here, I want to add some saturator. Give it a little distortion. Here I can turn the drive up. Here, let's stop the synth clip. Turn the drive up. Give it some pump. Give it a little soft clip so it doesn't clip. Okay, so we've already got our first little piece of stuff going on. Let's just say we don't want to use a drum loop and we want to add our own drums, right? We want to play our own drums. Well, there are a few ways to do this, okay? First off, let's go to drums, okay? In the drums here, I have, if we go all the way to the top, we have a lot of these. These are kits. They say .adg, okay? So I have one, 707. When you click on these, you can audition the sound. I can hear this, but you can't because it's not coming out of the main window over here, right? But if I grab, this one sounds good, I'll drag that over here. And as you can see, it populated with my drum kit. Now I can listen to these. Okay. This is an instrument with drum samples. It's not the same as here where we have the actual drum recording of one loop. Here we'll be able to put in the note information. Okay, so let's make another MIDI clip, just like we did over here. And here we have this, we'll pull this up so we can see. We have our kick, wood stick it says, snare, perk, bass pluck. That's interesting. Okay, we've got all of our drum sounds, so we can start. Let's stop everything but these drums, and let's double click to put in some hits. Okay, let's put a snare here. Now, the length of this clip is a little low, so let's put the length of this loop to 2. All right, and let's put and here we have hats. Now, here's another thing about Ableton. Anything you have selected, and you can select in this field like this, right? Anything you have selected, you can hit Control or Command D, and it will duplicate them, okay? Let's see, let's add some more. We got some closed hats. Let's add a couple of those. Let's hear these together. Let's say we want to add a bass line. Now, one thing we can do, I should let you know, is if you want to just add tracks without dragging devices over, you can hit Control T to add an audio track, or you could create insert audio track, which you see as Control T or Command T. If you want to add a MIDI track, right, with note information, Control Shift T, and that adds a MIDI track. Likewise, create insert MIDI track. Return tracks, that's a little different. I'll show you that another time. But right here, let's make a let's put some bass on here. Let's go back to instruments and let's drag another drift down there. And this is an E. If I create a MIDI clip, and let's say I want it to be 4 bars long, so I change that. And if I pull this up, you can see over here you can use your mouse wheel to go down, or you can drag and drop to go down, right? But you can see this is where I'm putting in note information here. So let's go. But if I move this guy, you can use your arrows once you put notes in to move things around, or you can grab them and drag them, right? Okay. This is a little long. Okay, fire off these clips. Now, let's try this drum loop with it. A little loud. We have our mixer here. Let's put a filter. If I double click on this, there's our device. Let's put a filter on here. Audio effects, auto filter. Let's turn down some of this echo. Let's change the voice of this. And let's change it to one of the drift presets. Let's find one. Euphoria lead. I don't know about that. How about I haven't heard any of these really. I like that. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Now let's just say we got our clip and we kind of love it. We're going to put it into the arrangement view. Now this entire view here are clips. This is called the clip view, okay? Up here in the top right corner, you can click on this icon and it will put you into the arrangement view where you can arrange your pieces. You can also just use the tab key on your computer keyboard. Now there are different ways of doing things. You can copy something from here and you can put it down here, right? You can move things around back and forth between the two views, but one of the main ways to launch a whole row of clips is over here. Let's say that we have our echo pulse up here, and if you remember, Control D will duplicate it, right? Let's say we've got our bass line up here as well, and we will duplicate that, okay? And let's just say we don't want our drum loop to come in yet. Let's duplicate this entire row. We'll just hold Control and select these, Control D, okay? From the top, it starts off like this. As soon as it rolls around, next. Okay, now notice that when I click something to launch a row or a clip, right? it waits till the next bar to come in, or half bar. That's because that's the resolution that I have set here. See, it'll start, but it won't start until the spot. All right, see that? Okay, now one way we can move things from clip view into a range is if we go back to 111, right, at the very beginning, and we get this guy going. First one. If I go to tab, you can see it's recording. You can see that came in. Let it go through one time. What I'll do here is I'll get ready and I'll stop these drums and bring them back. Watch. I can manipulate a lot of these things. All this movement will be recorded. I'll duplicate these real quick. And now drums. All right, now I just did kind of a pseudo performance there. If I hit tab, all of that is recorded on this side. Now, notice it's grayed out and you can't hear it. That's because these are all still activated. So what I have to do to make this available is I hit this red icon, this play icon here, and from the top, records my entire performance. If you look down here where I was manipulating things, right? You see these red dots, those are automation. It means that I moved things around. If I right click on one of these, I can delete automation or return to default. And in this screen, we can still adjust levels and things. Now, if I want to make this whole thing loop, this thing up here, right, is the loop parameter and the loop time, right? Now, this is what arms the loop. So right now it's not set to loop anything, but I could make this loop just this portion, right? In fact, I can start it from the beginning and I can make that portion loop when it gets there, okay? I'll show you here. Make this loop back to the beginning. I can change the loop point. I can loop a section by selecting it and hitting Control or Command L, and it will automatically loop that section. I could hit Control A, and it will select everything and hit Control or Loop L, or Control or Command L. Okay, so that's how looping works. If I get it to where I want it, and I want to export this, I can go over here to File. I can say Save Live Set if I want to save it in live, but if I want to export it, then I have to go to Export Audio, which as you can see is Control-Shift-R. So I'm going to do, or Command-Shift-R on a Mac. I'm going to go Control-Shift-R, and it opens up the Export Audio dialog. And as you can see, we have all of our quality options or where we want it to export. If I hit Export, It will ask me what folder I wanted it to export in, okay? So that's how that works. Saving is Control S, and it'll ask me where I want to save it, what I want to name it, right? So that's how you save things. Okay, so hopefully that got you started in Ableton Live. You're going to have to probably stop and pause and rewind. I hope it was clear enough for you. If this proved to be good for you, and if you want to see more of my instructional videos, or if you want some personal instruction, go to the link in the description, which is ghostwrittenclips.com/Ableton training. And I'll get in contact with you and we can talk about what your goals are and how I can help you achieve them. 2024 is an amazing year so far. Summer's upon us. I hope your spring and winter season was amazing, and be blessed.